Season 2, Episode 2, Prior Criminal History. It's your boy, the Icon, and let's go over the second exciting episode of Batwoman. So this particular episode starts with Beth. She's walking through the halls, and she's singing her rat song, and she still has Mouse's dead body laid next to her. She ends up coming up with this scheme where she has a bunch of rats basically like punch holes into Mouse's body. And then she takes a gigantic bat, because there's bats all over the sewers. She takes a bat and she puts the bat inside a Mouse, and then she leaves his body for the authorities or whoever to find. So now this takes us to Ryan Wilder, where she's, again, last episode, she wore the bat suit, she protected the people or whatever. But, but she gave the suit, she protected the people from Hush. She gave the suit back, and, she's trying to live her new life now, trying to do good, to keep the promise that she made to her mom. They show us an old scene from back in October, right before Kane got on the plane and before, Kate disappeared, where Ryan was, she had a little Catwoman outfit on, and I guess she was trick-or-treating because she was homeless, so she needed food. She was headed back to her van. She got run up on by some dudes, and then Batwoman came and saved her. She actually got a good glimpse of Batwoman for the first time. Kate took off. Ryan told her thank you. So now, present day, Ryan is, she's at a job interview. She's trying to get a job, and she's telling the person who, the interviewer, that she knows multiple forms of martial arts that she learned in Blackgate. And when she said that, I was like, hold up, they put you in Blackgate? Anybody who watches DC, like the prisons, it's Bel Rev, it's Blackgate. There's and I'm just like, but those are supposed to be like the worst, like the worst of the worst. So anyway, she said that she did time in Blackgate, and because of that, the dude didn't give her the job. And she tried to talk to him. She was like, listen, she was like, I know how criminals think. I was around them. I can spot them. I can spot different things from a mile away. But he wasn't trying to hear it, so he ain't give her the job. So defeated and dejected, she goes to the local bodega, and she just tried to get, I don't know where she got the money from, but she tried to get something to eat, and then these two dudes came in, they tried to rob the bodega. Ryan, trying to keep the promise she made to her mom, she takes on the villains and tries to stop the robbery. She chases them off. She ends up, taking one guy out. She stops one guy's gun. The two criminals ended up leaving the store. The store owner, he was on the floor, knocked out. She ran over to him and tried to help him. And then when she tried to help him, then the cop showed up, and then they see her black ass standing over this dude. And then, we pretty much know what happened from there. They cuff her. They actually took her to the Crows. Like, they didn't take her to like regular GCPD. Like, they took her to the Crows. So she's sitting in Crows lockup. Sophie shows up, and her and Sophie are sitting down. They're having a conversation. The two of them have met before, because when Ryan had her job interview and the interviewer asked her about what happened with her in Blackgate, she said, he was just like, oh, like your file says that you were in Blackgate. She was like, yeah, but the file also, she said, the file doesn't say that I had nothing to do with it, and it was a false arrest. Apparently the arrest came at the hands of the Crows, because when Sophie was just like, oh, this is the second time, like we've seen you here. And, then the other cop came in and he was like, yeah, we checked the surveillance footage. She actually was trying to stop the robbery. And then Sophie apologized and let her go. Ryan was like, yeah, this is the second time. Yeah, like the Crows locked me up, like arrested me for something that I didn't do. And then Sophie was just like, well, if you stay out of trouble, like we wouldn't have to do that. And then, the two of them were going back and forth. And then Ryan said to Sophie, she was just, they were talking about Alice. And then she said to her, she was just like, she was like, I know exactly why, Commander Kane hasn't put down Alice yet, or whatever the case may be. And then Sophie thought she was talking about the fact that, like they were related. And she was just like, well, any sympathy that he had, for her is over. And then she was like, why would he have sympathy for her? I'm talking about because she white, because she was just like, the reason why, like, because she's white, that's why y'all didn't kill her yet. But if she was black, y'all have gunned her down in a heartbeat. And then Sophie was just like, oh. And then, she's just like, well, you have a good night, Miss Wilder. And then she told her to leave. So Ryan immediately goes down, she goes down to Mary's, makeshift hospital to go have a conversation. Before that, Sophie and Jacob Kane, they called in Luke and they called in Mary to question them, because their whole thing is they both know that Kate's Batwoman now. Commander Kane knows, because Alice told him, and Sophie knows because of the letter. So they bring in Luke and Mary to question them, because, Jacob was just like, how did you not know your sister, was Batwoman? And then Mary was like, first of all, Kate and I weren't that close. Like she was trying to push, she always spent time pushing me away. She never actually, why would she bring me in on anything? And then Luke did Sophie dirty. Go on that one. And then she was just like, oh, you and her worked closely together. How could you not know? And then he was just like, well, y'all was together too. How could you not know? And then, he was just like, Kate, he said Kate hid things from everybody. And he was like, it's a damn shame that throughout all this, she didn't have somebody that loved her watching her back. And then when he said that, I was like, damn, bro. I was like, you ain't have to do her like that. Then Sophie got mad and she walked away. She walks into Julia, and then Julia was just like, can we have a talk, love? And then she's like, now you want to talk, bitch? So the two of them are going through something, and their relationship is over because, she's upset at Julia because she kept the Batwoman lie, like a secret. Although it wasn't her secret to tell, but she's still mad. So now Ryan, she's at the hospital, she's talking to Mary. And then she runs up on Mary, and she's like, yo, she was like, Alice is Beth, and she's your sister, and she's Kate's sister, and that's why you people are protecting her. Then Mary was just like, don't ever say that because she killed my mom. And, and then it turned into this whole thing where it's like both Mary and Ryan, both their moms were basically murdered by Alice. So there's a common ground there. So then, Ryan said to her, she was just like, yo, then let me know where Alice is and I'll get revenge for both of our moms, like right now, this second. It was at that point where the EMTs, they rolled in Mouse's dead corpse, and then when his corpse came in, then Mary immediately called Luke. Luke came down, and then he was just like, "Oh, Ryan," and then Luke was being very cold to her throughout the whole thing. Like he was just like, "Oh, two unwanted people in the room." And I was like, "Damn, B." Yeah, Luke definitely wasn't having it. So they're having a conversation now, about the dead corpse. And meanwhile, Ryan's like asking questions and Luke is just flat out ignoring her. Then the bat that was trapped inside Mouse's body popped up and started flying all over the place. Ryan screamed, she screamed in fear. Come to find out, Ryan Wilder does not like bats. So, Mary did an autopsy, I guess on the body, and then she found out that Mouse's body was full of the same poison that Alice used to poison her mom. And Alice talked about like a plan, like some big plan that was supposed to be coming out, because earlier she ran up on Julia because Julia was sitting in her car, upset over the whole Sophie situation. Alice ran up on Julia and asked for Julia's help to take down Sophia because she said that she had like some big plan or whatever, and she wanted Julia's, assistance in it. Julia's whole thing was, so basically now that Kate's gone and Kate was the only person that gave a damn about you, you're lonely and you're grasping for straws because you desperately, Mouse is gone, Kate's gone, your family's alienated you. There was, Julia's like, yo, you basically like, you're crying out for help. And, and then Alice got mad and like she stabbed her in the side or whatever. Julia called Luke, told Luke what happened, so now they know Alice was planning something. And it has something to do with the poison and her releasing the poison through some specific area in Gotham. Ryan is watching the television because they're having a Batwoman rally. Because since the Crows in the season finale of season 1, since the Crows went after Kate, they said, aside from the Halloween situation, Kate hasn't been seen publicly since the Crows ran up on her. So now the town, like Gotham City, they're upset by that. They're mad at the Crows, and they're holding like a protest rally, requesting that Batwoman comes back, which is the perfect target for Alice to spray the toxin all over a large group of people, which is ironically the same people that want her sister to come back. So, so now they're talking about, like, well, what can we do? How can we stop it? And then, Mary was like, well, let's put Julia back in the suit. And then he's like, we can't because Julia just got stabbed in the side and physically she's not going to be able to do it. So then Ryan was like, well, then I'll do it. And then Luke was just like, hell no. It's just like, hell no. Ryan's just like, well, I did it last time, like I stopped Hush, the suit fits me, put me back in the suit. And then Mary's just like, yeah, why don't we put her back in the suit? And then he's just like, first of all, everybody's going to know that you're not Batwoman if we put you in the suit. And they're like, how's people going to know she's not the real Batwoman? And he's just like, okay, are we not going to... He's like, so are we just going to act like you ain't black? Like, everybody know that Batwoman isn't black. And then Mary was just like, look, we'll just put her on the highest building we could find. It's all gravy. Luke was not having it. Luke was 100% against it. He was not trying to hear it. But the safety of Gotham comes first, and because she already did it, and she already knows everyone's identity, and everything anyway, he didn't have a choice. So he was just like, fine, we'll put her in the suit. So they put her in the suit. She's on the building. And this was very funny because while she's standing on the rooftop, she's behind the crowd. Somebody turned around, some kid turned around, and they saw her. And they was like, oh my God, it's Batwoman. And everybody turns around and they're cheering. They're like, Batwoman, Batwoman. Everybody's cheering for Batwoman. Commander Kane takes the goggles he looks up at he looks up at the building. He immediately sees that she's black. So Luke was right, and then he was just like, somebody get that imposter off the roof. And then so Ryan, she's on the roof now, and then she's just like, citizens of Gotham, you must leave the area. Your lives are in danger. And everybody's like, yeah. She's like, no. She's like, you people are in danger. She's like, I need y'all to leave. And they're just like, yeah. And then she's like, yo, these motherfuckers are crazy. So then Alice shows up. Alice shows up on the rooftop, and she's like, "Oh, you're not Batwoman." She's like, "You're there in my sister's hand-me-downs." And then once Ryan saw Alice, like, it was just the bull seeing red, and she was like, "Yo, I'm about to bust this bitch ass." And then Luke got on the comment. He was like, first of all, Batwoman doesn't kill. And then she was just like, well, it's a good thing you've been telling me for the last 2 days. I'm not Batwoman. So she turns the comm off, and her and Alice get into it. Luke is watching the whole fight, like through the surveillance cameras, and he actually got mad. Like, he turned to Mary at one point. He was just like, "See, I told you putting her in this was a bad idea." So her and Alice are fighting. They're going down. Ryan actually gets, Ryan gets her down. She gets her down, and she actually got her down for the count. She wasn't in a position to kill her, but she could have knocked her out and dragged her to the crows or whatever. But then Alice hit the bat button because apparently she pumped that poison full of a bunch of bats that she found in the sewer system, and then she used that bat calling device, which is a Bruce Wayne. Which is a Bruce Wayne Batman trait. I don't know where Alice got her hands, but that's something that Bruce Wayne uses all the time when he's Batman. He uses that. They even use it on Gotham, the device that calls bats whenever he's in trouble. Alice got her hands on it. Don't know how, but she got her hands on it. All the bats started coming, and all the bats had poison in their system, and they were going to bite all of the people who were at the rally. So Luke's is just like, so now Luke doesn't have a choice. Like, he got to trust it now. So he's just like, Ryan, you got to stop the bats from poisoning the people. And then she's just like, well, give me a minute. I'm going after Alice. And he was like, yo, the people don't have a minute. Batwoman's supposed to protect the people, and if you gotta let the criminal go, you let the criminal go. At that point, Ryan basically, she was like, all right, fine. She's like, fine. So she goes down there, she tries to stop the people. She's helping the people. She saves Sophie. Sophie got a good look at her, and Sophie knows that she's black. Sophie looked her dead in the face. Sophie knows that she's black, and as of this point, I don't think both Sophie or Commander Kane told each other that they know that she's black. So, Ryan ends up, she takes the device, the bat calling device. She puts it in the Batmobile, and she starts driving away. All the bats are following her. She drives downtown. She sees a bus. She takes the device. She throws the device on a bus. All the bats go into the bus. While all the bats are in the bus, she blows that sumbitch up. There was a little girl outside. She was just like, "Thank you for saving us, Batwoman." And she's like, "Girl, I ain't Batwoman." And then she was just like, "You're Batwoman to me." So now Ryan's like, "Well, shit, I guess I could do this. I guess I can do this Batwoman thing now." So she goes back to Wayne Tower. She has the password to get into the Batcave. Not only can Ryan get into Wayne Tower, she can get into the Batcave. And I don't know when she got the access codes. I don't know when they hooked her up, but she's in the Batcave. So, she put the suit back, and then she was just like, "Listen, I was glad I was able to help, and I hope that today won't be the last day because I actually want to take the job on full time." And then Luke was like, "Hell no." Luke was like, "Nah." He was like, "We already got a Batwoman." And then Ryan was like, "Well, where was she at today?" And she's like, "You stuck with me." And then Mary was just like, "Yeah, we need her, because if Alice was planning something, the city's going to need a Batwoman." So Luke was just like, "All right, fine." Luke was the MVP of this whole episode. But Luke was like, fine. He was like, "You could take the job until Kate gets back because we're still under the impression that Kate's alive," which I personally believe that as well. But he was like, "Until she gets back, you can keep the job." But he was just like, "But there's one condition. If you're going to do this job, Batwoman 100% does not kill." She agreed to that. So there's like, all right, cool. And, I thought that was that was very interesting because Luke now has to train her in the ways of being a Batman or a Batwoman. He has to teach her the ins and outs, the do's and the do nots. Thankfully, the girl has some skill, but she's going to need bat training. And Ryan brought up an interesting point, because just like with the interviewer, when she had the job interview, she told him, she was like, "Listen," she said, "because that she spent time on the streets around criminals, she knows how they think. So that could give them a tactical advantage that Kate didn't have because Kate wasn't, very wasn't very known in the criminal realm. So they're going to give her the job." And they had a nice little callback because in Batwoman, throughout the course of the first season, Kate would always write into a book that was in the Batcave, basically writing letters to Bruce. So when Bruce finally decides to come back, he can read up on her adventures to know what's been going on. Ryan did the same thing for Kate. So this entire show, she saw the book, she read the part about where Kate put the entry in about when she saved Ryan during Halloween, and just how Kate wrote letters for Bruce for when Bruce comes back. Ryan wrote letters for Kate for when Kate comes back, and I thought that was really nice that that the writers remembered that and still put that in, because that was pretty cool. Sophie, she ended up having a conversation with Julia again. She told Julia, Julia was just like, she's like, the reason why we're not together is because I'm not Kate, and because that I lied to you about her being Batwoman. And she was like, yep. And Sophie walked away. She found out, like Julia found out where Alice was. So Sophie went down there dolo to go run up on Alice. When Sophie ran up on Alice, one of Saphia's minions ran up on Sophie and Alice. So now she knocked out Sophie, she knocked out Alice, and the Saphia minion has, I don't know if she's gonna, she might take Sophie with her because Sophie saw her face, or maybe she'll just leave Sophie there, but she's definitely taking Alice. So in the next episode, either Alice and Sophie or Alice and the Saphia minion are gonna be doing something, and we'll probably actually get to see Saphia in the next episode as well. I saw in the next week's coming attractions, Victor Zsasz is showing up, so that's going to be interesting. I was always a huge fan of Victor Zsasz, especially on Gotham. The actor who played him on Gotham, I thought he did a damn good job. He did a very damn good job. He was also a Flash villain too in like episode 3. But yeah, so that was it. That was it. Like I'm loving where this show is going. So it's going so far. Like, this is really cool. It's exciting. Like I said, with no Arrow anymore, and with this being Black Lightning's final season, the fact that we still got a ground and pound, like dark, like ground show, like I said, like I'm loving it. And I like where Ryan's, what character is going as well. I also like the fact that, she's still struggling with the whole Bat persona. Like when she first landed on the roof, she kind of like stumbled a little bit, and then Luke had to tell her, like, listen, you got to use the cape to stop your momentum. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. And then when she was on the building, and then she was like, well, how do I get the people's attention? Mary was like, well, just stand there heroically and like straighten up your back and arch your thighs. And then she did the hands on her hip, the Supergirl pose. And there was like, girl. So like that, and I said, I'm enjoying that. But she also brings a new thought process to the table, as far as like the decision to putting the bats in the bus and then blowing the bus up. Let's say it's a little edgy, but it's gonna work. And I said, and I enjoy the cast. Like, I'm loving Mary, and I like the fact that the entire cast still has a place on this show, despite the fact that Kate's gone. So that was it. Let me know what you thought of episode 2 of Batwoman. I said I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to episode 3. Leave a comment. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, check me out on social media. Tell me what you think of Ryan so far. Who's your favorite character so far? Because for me, Luke was the MVP of this particular episode, and we will have a discussion and talk about it. WandaVision episode 4 is coming later on this weekend, and then I'm also doing a pre-video for Black Lightning, because we finally got a Black Lightning trailer. So take care, guys, and for Batwoman, until next time, I'm out this.